Hello guys, you're welcome to the second video in the Rust series. So in this video I want us to talk a little bit about documentation. Now what I like about a programming language and libraries especially is having documentation to find whatever function or class and whatever information about what the library or programming language has. Now one of the problems with C++ is finding documentation. There are websites online that provide documentation in C++, but there's not usually a standard place where you can, go find information about standard libraries and stuff like that. So Rust actually has an official website for the documentation, but the good thing is that there's also an offline documentation I'd like to show you that is built into the Rust language, and you can get into it with this command rust-up-doc. So if you type rust-up-doc, this is going to open the documentation inside of your browser. So as you can see, you can access. Now you can see this page looks extremely ugly, and I don't know why they have this is like the documentation homepage, but the actual subpage is actually make a lot of sense. So the first thing we're gonna go to learn Rust, this is the book to learn the Rust programming language, and this shit is actually hard. The book is actually about I think about 700 pages plus if you want to print it. So if you click on print and you check, I think it's about 700 pages plus, but I'm not sure. So you can print the book if you want, but I recommend you just keeping it on your system and save some trees. I mean, why would you want to waste 600 and something pages? Just keep that shit on your system and use it. Right, anyway, so you can follow the tutorial step by step, but as you can see, this is actually extremely exhaustive. So but if reading books is kind of what you like, you can definitely follow the Rust programming language book or whatever. I want to find out how many pages it's actually. I think it's about 600 and I can't remember. Anyway, figure that out yourself. But so this is what we have, right? So this is the Rust programming language, and you can use that to learn about Rust, and everything is installed in your computer system when you install the Rust doc tool, so that should get you going. Now there is also Rust by example, which basically just contains it's kind of the same as the Rust book, but this one actually is short tutorials on getting started with the language and stuff. So if you have experience with the another programming language, this is probably what you need, because like I said, the Rust book is actually extremely huge, so you're probably better off going with the Rust by example, which just contains some basic tutorials and stuff. And yeah, and what else can I show you here? We have Rustlings. So this basically teaches you about the Rust syntax. This basically is just a bunch of posts about random things in Rust, and this is not actually installed on your system. So you see, this is taking me to GitHub, where you can see a bunch of other things here, like downloading. So I haven't actually used this before. I've not touched this Rustlings. I don't know what it's. I don't even care about it. I basically only work with the book and Rust by example. So if you want to check out the documentation, the documentation is actually here. So you can find the documentation here. I always like the IU doc theme. I don't like the doc theme. It's not doc. This is actually doc. I think they should swap this. This is doc and this is IU. So I probably will send like a pull request or something to anyway. So this is where you can find the documentation. It's pretty exhaustive. Okay, so there's a bunch of things you can find here. You can find all the modules, the functions, the macros, the struct, and the enums, and a bunch of other things like that. And as you can see, we also have all the keywords that are currently inside of the Rust programming language. You can see async and await. I've never actually used this, I didn't even know this exists. Anyway, probably we'll learn about it before we get to that part of the series anyways. So you can see all of the bunch of functions that are actually available inside of Rust, and the keywords, functions, classes. There are no classes in Rust, by the way, spoiler alert. So yeah, And also I think there's a button here to search on the standard library, so you probably can search for like mutex or something. So let's hit the search button, and let's see, it's gonna get me mutex. So as you can see, it actually gets us mutex. Nice. I haven't actually used that before, but it seems like it works. Anyway, I think you can search for it here too if you want. Yeah, you can search here. Anyway, so that's that, and there's a bunch of other things here. So if you want to learn about the Rust compiler, this is the Rust C book. So we also have the cargo book. This one is about the documentation. Sorry. This one is about the build system. Cargo is the build system manager. So if you want to learn about cargo and how to use it even more, you can check out the cargo book. The Rust doc book is about the documentation tool, and this one allows you to build and manage your documentation for your own project. And so if you want to learn about how the Rust doc tool works, then you should also check that out. So right, so you can see a bunch of other things you can see here. You can see we have the reference. So the reference is like it's basically just something that describes the internals of the Rust programming language. So if you actually have something, and the Rust gnome icon is like, I actually love this one because it helps you understand how Rust works or interoperates with some some other programming languages like C, and how to do some pretty crazy things with Rust that are not allowed, that are not normally allowed by the compiler. So yeah, anyway, I haven't actually ever touched this before, so I don't know. The unstable book, I think it says it documents unstable features. So if you want anything that's not stable, you probably should check that out. The Rust C guide. Okay, this is for people that want to actually go into the compiler and maybe write code for the compiler. I don't want to ever write code for the Rust compiler. I mean, I would be crazy to want to do that. So if you feel like you're crazy and you want to write code for the Rust compiler, please check out the Rust C guide. I'm not even gonna click it because I'm probably gonna have a heart attack reading the documentation, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. Alright, but I think it's not installed locally, so you see you have to go to the online website to find it. Anyway, that's gonna be all for this video. I just wanted to show you where you can find documentation for Rust on your computer system, and as you can see, all you have to do is type rust up doc, and it's gonna show up on your computer, on your browser. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.